are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Larck, Aggie on Twitter. Here to talk to y'all today about the latest in Auburn athletics news. Of course, it is Texas A&M week over on the Plains. Auburn's last home game of the season and last winnable game of the season, ? So Auburn opens up as a 2.5-point underdog going into the Saturday, a 6:30 kick, a night game in Jordan-Hare Stadium, another packed house awaiting the Aggies. And Hugh Freeze talked about this game today. I mean, kind of going into what they saw from Saturday going forward. Ian Vachon is going to be the place kicker for Auburn football going the next week. Can't stop. He's on a hot streak. 2 for 2 is what you want to see going forward. Of course, Birmingham Southern alumni. I want to say alumni, but that school kind of got eradicated. So just a walk on kicker Ian Vachon, 2 of 2. Still going to try to keep him as within the 30 as he possibly can, just to keep his confidence up going forward. Another thing Hugh Freeze mentioned in his press conference is DeMarcus Riddick, a guy who I've been talking about ever since he flipped his commitment to Auburn. I knew he was going to be a dog all along. Everyone who saw this kid play knew he was going to be a dog all along. And now that he's a dog all along, Hugh Freeze said Auburn has begun to play a lot better ever since Riddick got more involved in this defense. And that's really the case. So you can watch on the film, DeMarcus Riddick has been playing way better than a freshman linebacker in the SEC typically would. I mean, he is next level talent. And that's what you're seeing from a lot of these freshmen. And one of the best plays I saw from Riddick from this past Saturday was on one of those little fake plays. You a little play action pass. Quarterback faked to the running back, turned around, started to run around trying to find a guy on the rollout, but defense got fooled. Most of the defense got fooled, but one guy in particular did not. The true freshman DeMarcus Riddick, who ended up getting a sack on the play, on an absolutely great play from him. So super excited to see that he's getting a lot more love, as he should. Due to the dog, absolute dog, DAWG, and the only absolute way I'm ever going to spell it that way, because that's just how good he is. And of course, he is a Tiger. So he flipped from Georgia. So I can't help but brag about that a little bit. So again, Texas A&M is this week. And Hugh Freeze already mentioned a point that I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. But as you know, what we do here on the Tuesday show, we talk about the 5 things Auburn needs to do to beat their opponent. In this case, top 25 team, Texas A&M. I want to say, I don't have their ESPN ranking in front of me, but I want to say they're 15th in the country. I just want to make sure I have that right before I start this back up. So let me just pull that up. Okay. So this weekend, Auburn takes on number 15, Texas A&M, and I am going to go through my 5 things Auburn needs to do to take down the Aggies. Number 5, you have to find a way to run the football on Texas A&M. Now, this front 7 is really good. This is a very good pass rush. It's the strongest part of this Texas A&M defense, but it is not without its flaws. Just a couple weeks ago against South Carolina, where they lost 44-20, A&M gave up 144 yards to Raheem Rocket Sanders. So that's 7.2 yards per carry on that. And Lenora Sellers as well, 106 yards for him, and also got a touchdown as well. Running the ball is the key to this Auburn offense. When Auburn runs the ball well, the offense is able to move. So going against Texas A&M, if you want to win this game, you have to win 2 to get bowl eligibility. You have to be able to run the football well, and you do that by feeding Jarquez Hunter. Up next, my 4th thing, don't lose a turnover battle. This is a very simple concept. And I'm not asking you to win it. I'm not saying don't tie it. I'm just saying don't lose it. Don't turn the ball over more than the other team does. You lost versus ULM, but you got a little lucky because they're playing ULM. Turnovers have been the biggest issue with this Auburn team. I've been trying to plead the case for why Auburn is the best, worst team in college football. And the best way to do that is go check the stats. Check where Auburn stands on total offense, on total defense, passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, and then go check out turnovers. And guess what? If you go to the NCAA page, you'll see Auburn on the first pages of all of those offensive statistics, those defensive statistics, and then turnovers. You got to go all the way to page 4, go to like 127, 128, one of those numbers, and that's where you find your Auburn Tigers at. You cannot lose a turnover battle if you want to win this game. Now, you do have some heat coming forward. You're on a little bit of a roll. You feel a little confident. That's what Hugh Freeze talked about. You're feeling confident after your big win over ULM. A&M's coming off a big win over New Mexico State. And, of course, they are coming off of that SEC loss 2 weeks ago to South Carolina. This is a tough contest nonetheless, and this is pretty evident within the spread. 2.5 is a very tough game for both teams. Auburn, of course, won last time they were in Jordan Stadium. Of course, that was the Cadillac-Williams game where he was able to coach Auburn to an ugly win, but in the state of where the program was, it was one of the best wins ever. You know, everyone got to cry and enjoy what we were watching on the field. And, you know, Auburn last year wasn't able to get it done in College Station. Auburn seemed to have some good luck playing at home versus A&M. But Mike Elko, whole different beast than Jimbo Fisher and Kevin Sumlin. So, number 3, you got to attack this A&M secondary. I said it earlier, you got to be able to run the football. That's key. But the biggest weakness of this A&M defense is their secondary. And we just saw Auburn find a way to do, you know, we saw Auburn find a way to have 200-yard receivers. Peyton Thorne looked confident. You know, he tied a program record for touchdowns in a game. He's 6th all time in Auburn touchdowns passing touchdowns in a season. You got to build that confidence up. And of course, we want Auburn to run the football a lot. That should be the focal point of the offense at all times, is run the dang ball. Cut, dry, plain, simple, however you want to say it. But this A&M defense is susceptible to the deep ball, which is something you want to be implemented more in your offense. You have Cam Coleman. You have KLS. You have Malcolm Simmons. You got to find a way to get down the field with this A&M defense. Now, that does kind of tie in all 3 of those all together, is don't turn the football and make sure you're also doing a fair share running the ball. Number 2, contain the legs of Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed is a freshman. He is a freshman. And believe me, this is a kid that does not play like a freshman. He has 9 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. But the big kicker with him, he's a redshirt freshman, of course. He also has 375 yards rushing. He has 6 touchdowns on the ground. He is every bit of a dual threat as you can possibly get as a quarterback. He is a threat on all fronts. By land, by air, by sea, wherever you want to go, Marcel Reed is a threat to a defense. So for Auburn, you got to make him look like a redshirt freshman. And what you do is you take his run game out of the equation. Now, he's still a really good passer. Don't get me wrong. If you keep him in the pocket, he's going to make some good throws. But I trust this Auburn secondary enough and this Auburn defense enough to be able to keep those guys locked down to where you're containing them in the pocket. And if you're in the pocket long enough, that leaves you available for one Keldrick Falk, for Jalen McLeod, for DeMarcus Riddick, for guys like that have been feeding off of quarterbacks being still in the pocket all season long. So, yeah, you got to keep him still the whole game. And the last thing, this is the most important thing. That's why it's number 1. That's why it's the last. The most important thing Auburn needs to do to win this football game versus Texas A&M is do what works. Don't do what doesn't. That has been the Achilles heel of this entire offense, is Auburn's inability to continue to do what has been working throughout the season. Whenever you have a strong run game going on, you divert to the pass game. When the pass game starts taking off, you just completely get rid of the run game, and now you're just forcing passes down the field. You have to play a balanced game against A&M. A&M is very talented. This NFL talent across the board. Defense, offense, all over the place. There are dudes you're going to be playing on Sundays. Of course, Auburn has that as well. But you can't let yourself get out coached. You can't let yourself get outplayed. I'm not even saying Mike Elko to outcoach you. You can't be outcoached by yourself. So, don't force things. Don't try to do things that are cutesy and pretty on paper. Don't do it. It doesn't work out, and it hasn't all season long. Do what works. Divert from things that don't. So, that's my 5 things Auburn needs to do to beat Texas A&M. Of course, there's a whole laundry list of things Auburn needs to do to beat Texas A&M. But, of course, as y'all know, kind of round out the Tuesday not the Tuesday show, but what we do on Tuesday is we re-ranking the SEC power rankings as I see fit through week 12. So going into week 13, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Auburn, all remaining in that 16 through 13 spot. Auburn's there until they beat an SEC team, and they have 2 chances to do that. Number 12, LSU, fraud alert, major fraud alert. They dropped so far down the list after losing to Florida, of course, losing to Texas A&M. Just not a good team. Brian Kelly has diverted to what he was at Notre Dame, not being able to win those major games. Number 11, Missouri, still finding ways to still be in the hunt for the SEC championship, but I just don't think they're a good team. They just haven't been playing like it. And the thing is, I think they have everything there to do so. And, of course, 11 through 8 on my list could be interchanged however it could possibly go. So, yeah, number 11, I have Missouri. Number 10, I have Arkansas. Don't really know how to really rate them. They either play really well or they don't. It's Arkansas. Number 9, I have the Vanderbilt Commodores. So, you have a couple of big games coming up for Vanderbilt. They have LSU this week. So that will be a major, major chance for them to be able to get another massive win on their resume. And, of course, Vanderbilt is just a giant killer, if you will. 8, I have the Florida Gators coming up after beating LSU. And, of course, Florida has played very well throughout the season. So, huge ups to them. Of course, now, number 7, the Texas A&M Aggies, team Auburn is playing this week. 6, South Carolina. It's a good football team. Until they divert back to, what Beamer ball usually is. But this is a very good team, and they're playing like it. Just kind of sucks that they lost those games early, killed their own chances to get into the SEC championship conversation. 5, Tennessee lost in a heartbreaking fashion to Georgia. Just couldn't do nothing down the stretch. 4, Georgia. They beat Tennessee, so they're going to stick in the top 4. But I can't put them over a team that beat them in Ole Miss. And that's going to be a little ironic going forward in this list. The Ole Miss staying at number 3. 2, I have the Alabama Crimson Tide. And number 1, the Texas Longhorns, where they have been for the majority of the season at this point. So that's my SEC Power Rankings. Let me know. Of course, also let me know, what do you think Auburn needs to do to beat Texas A&M on Saturday? It's a winnable game. It's a very winnable game. And Auburn could find a way to finish with 5 wins, which would be massive. I don't know if it will happen. I'm still on the fence about who I'm picking to win that game. But if Auburn wins it, you're in a lot better opportunity. And, of course, you have a better defense than your next opponent after them. You get some momentum. You get some confidence. Who knows what crazy stuff could happen? It's Auburn football. Miracles happen every now and again. So, going forward, we're going to take a quick little break. Other side of this break, we're going to recap Auburn's win last night versus UNA, and, of course, round out the show with previewing Auburn women's basketball's top 25 matchup versus the Oregon Ducks. So, on the other side of this break, we'll be right back to talk about some Auburn basketball. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out, and do it right now. go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. It's available on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. First page, college loop hat. Second page, Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. Nice little combo. You know, Christmas pictures are right around the corner. We still have Thanksgiving first, and then, of course, after that, we have Christmas. And then you can just all dress up, all cozy around the fire, wearing your college loop merch, and just doing one of the many things you can do to support the show. And, of course, the best thing, the only thing I want y'all to get the merch. But I really want y'all / need y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. We are getting on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Don't do any rounding up or anything. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget, leave a comment. What do you think Auburn needs to do to beat Texas A&M this Saturday? Now, Auburn basketball got another win under their belt last night versus UNA, taking them down 102-69 in a game that was very close for an unreasonably amount of time. Auburn had I'm trying to get the actual box pulled up for this. Auburn did not have the lead by the 5-minute mark in this game. It was 33-30. It was just a tough stretch for Auburn for the longest time, not being able to get shots going down. And here we go. Last lead, 5 minutes left in the first half, 33-32 was when UNA had the lead. After that, Auburn completely took over. Just open looks for UNA, able to drive in, able to get some fouls called their way. Jakari Lane had himself a game against Auburn, had 16 points. Behind him, Ortiz and Suchi both had 15. I mean, just some dudes that were just giving Auburn every single issue under the sun. And then you look across on the other side, on the Auburn bench, well, technically on the Auburn court he was playing. He played for 26 minutes of the game. Around the 7-minute mark of the first half, 7 minutes left in the first half, Jani Broome had 0 points. And you're like, whoa, dang, where's Jani Broome? Well, out of nowhere, Jani announced himself and then put up 17 points in 7 minutes. Put up 13 in the second half. It just went on its absolute tear throughout the entire game, tying his career high as a Tiger at 30, with also pairing that with 17 rebounds. I don't have to tell y'all this. Y'all know this already. Jani Broome, one of, if not the best player in college basketball. The world should know that. You also had some good games across the board. Denver Jones had 13 points, 9 assists, and a rebound for himself. Chad Baker-Mazara had himself 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Miles Kelly got back into scoring, 12 points, and 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Dylan Cardwell, 12 points for Dylan Cardwell. The DYLAN superiority right there. 3 rebounds and 2 assists for Cardwell. Todd Pettiford came off the bench, 7 points, and 3 assists. You had Pegues getting 3 and 3, 3 points, 3 rebounds. Simo had some very handsy defense, which you're going to get with Simo. Had 4 fouls on his box score. You had Chaney Johnson putting up 8 points off the bench. And getting also 5 rebounds for himself. I'm super excited to watch Shane Johnson emerge throughout the remainder of the season. This team is legit. And you also had a couple of the walk-ons come in. You had one hit a massive 3, which was just awesome. But overall, I mean, it was a great game for Auburn. You shot 44% from the 3-point line. You shot 62% from the field, 71% from the free throw line. This team is what it is when it comes to shooting free throws. But Jani Broome, 3 of 5. Can't be too mad about that. And, of course, you didn't really have that many misses. I just said 12 of 17. Jani had 2. CBM had 1. Kelly had 1. And then Chaney had missed 1 too. So you get what you get. With this team when it comes to free throws, you hope that they can just find a way to do that. Auburn scored 50 points in the bench, got 6 blocks, and shout out Dylan Cardwell, moving up the 6th all time as an Auburn Tiger in career blocks. I did not know. I mean, because I remember because Dylan Cardwell's been really involved in this Auburn scheme for about 5 years now. And I remember starting off and we were always talking about how, waiting for him to emerge. Will he ever do it? Will he get consistent? And then I didn't realize that he had so many blocks. I mean, I know he gets a lot of them. I didn't know he had that many. It was over 100. So shout out Dylan Cardwell. I love watching Dylan Cardwell absolutely go off in any game, really. And seeing him get 12 points is just awesome. Auburn had the lead for 38 minutes and 12 seconds of this game. 6 lead changes, got tied once, but 25 assists from the Tigers. Team basketball is what you love to see. Of course, after this game, Auburn gets to travel to Maui to take on Iowa State in that first round. Of course, there are a lot of teams involved in that one. We'll be previewing that one next week. Get ready for Auburn to take on another top 10 team. I think someone showed the AP poll this week. Auburn, of course, number 4. 5 through 12, number 5 right after Auburn and all the way down to 12, Auburn has to play on their schedule. And, of course, that involves Duke, that involves Iowa State, and, of course, SEC after that, and Purdue as well. I think Purdue's also in that list. But Auburn's got a tough stretch of games coming up. Of course, the SEC next year is going to always be a tough one. But if you're not watching Auburn basketball, I don't know what you're doing. Massive game there for the Tigers, taking down UNA, overcoming what was a struggle at first, but able to get through it. But another team with a hard-fought game coming up soon. Tomorrow, the Auburn women's basketball team and Coach Jay will travel, or probably already have traveled to, but will play in Eugene, Oregon at Matthew Knight Arena, take on the number 23 Oregon Ducks. Oregon currently 5-0. Auburn only 3-0, only playing 3 games this season. Right now, Oregon has a 69% chance to win this game, but I am bugging maybe a little bit. I might be bugging. Right now, Oregon, they have a solid group of 5 that all get 20 minutes a game. You have Amina Muhammad who gets 18 after that, and then after that, you don't really get much more playing time after that. Deja Kelly is one of the people you got to watch out for here. Averages 30 minutes a game, 14.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. And, of course, she leads Oregon in all those categories. And this team shoots the ball well from the threes, 35% from the three-point line. Shoot pretty well, 47% from the field. Free throw line, 65%. And overall, I mean, this team, I mean, they haven't played they have 4 easy games, I'd consider, and then they have a tough, hard-fought win versus Baylor, who's a ranked team. So you're looking at it, California Baptist beat them by 30. Nevada beat them by, if my math succeeds me here, 18. Beat Baylor by 2, number 12 Baylor at the time. Beat North Texas by, they're just testing my math skills with these, by 31. And they beat Grand Canyon by 16. Now Auburn walks in. Auburn again 3-0, taking down Auburn hasn't really played the toughest schedule in the world either. You took down Southern Illinois, Virginia Lynchburg, who you absolutely just murdered, and destroyed Little Rock as well. The interesting part about this Auburn team is going to be the emergence of Talia Scott. We got to see her versus Little Rock. Hopefully, get to see a lot more of her going forward, and of course, Deanna Gaston averaging 23 points a game. This Auburn team is going to be very fun to watch. And, you have someone in Deanna Gaston who's averaging a double-double on the season. This Auburn team is going to give Oregon everything and more. This is going to be a hard-fought game. And because I'm feeling a little boogie about it, I think I'm going to take the Auburn Tigers to get the upset here. I want the Auburn women's basketball announces the college basketball world that they are back moment in this game. And, of course, it is on the bottom of the top 25. but just having at least that little bit of respect, because I fully believe this Auburn team is going to take down a few teams that they're not supposed to. Auburn women's basketball does not nearly get the respect it deserves. Coach Jay has turned this place into an absolute, giant in waiting, or a sleeping giant, if you will. So I'm going to take Auburn to beat Oregon because I think that they have a true shot to do this. And then you go down the rest of the schedule. I think you're going to see a ranked Auburn team this year. Of course, on both sides of that squall spectrum. But I think Auburn beats Oregon tomorrow at 8:00 p.m. CST. That game apparently not going to be on television, which is annoying. Is that ESPN's not saying it's on television, which sucks. So hopefully ESPN Plus has the game available. But yeah, if not, let's keep up with it through live stats, or if I believe it's going to be on call as well. So yeah, game tomorrow, 8:00 p.m. Oregon's favored, but you have the Larck seal of approval that I think Auburn is going to upset Oregon tomorrow. So with that, that is it for this episode of the College Loop Podcast. Don't forget, leave your thoughts about can Auburn beat Texas A&M and what they need to do to beat that. Give me your prediction for Auburn versus Oregon, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Can't overstate that enough. Don't forget to check the audio versions of the show as well on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, of course, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget, check us out on social media as well. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works. All those available. Just look up at The College Loop. Look up The College Loop. We're having a nice little span of posting stuff on TikTok. We got some people who are commenting, reaching out to the TikTok follower base, trying to get them over here to the YouTube base. And, of course, doing all that jazz as well. And don't forget to follow me as well to keep up with my personal well-being and how I feel about sports 24/7. So that's available at your boy the Tank on Twitter or X, whichever one you're wanting to call it. And, of course, on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLANLRCK. Visual aids right here. And, of course, all that being said, thanks for watching this installment of the College Loop Podcast. And, as always, basketball season is so fun. And guess what? War Eagle.